I want to introduce you to Michael Vertoli. Mike Vertoli is a cop with Peel Regional Police up here in Ontario, Canada. And I think he's probably got some of the biggest balls out there. And why do I say that? Well, this dude is posting, let's just say, some rather unpopular, against the progressive viewpoint type of material online on his social media, Facebook and Twitter and all this. And he's doing it all under his real name. Now, the great people at Vice News, okay, the top-notch journalism that happens at Vice News, even though they had a massive layoff back in May 2020, thank God. But anyways, they're doing a hit piece on this Mike Vertoli. And the headline says, Toronto area cop under investigation for alleged Islamophobic posts. You know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be good. And this is by a fella named Steve Zhu, right there. Steve Zhu. Well, what does Steve Zhu have to say? So basically, Mike Vertoli, he's a Peel cop. There he is right there. There's some picture of a random cruiser. That is not a Peel Regional Police cruiser, because you can look it up online. Anyways, 19 years on the job, and he got a complaint from the National Council of Canadian Muslims. Oh, no. What did he do? What did this son of a bitch do? This bastard. So, I'm sorry. Posts from 2016 and 2017. That's how far back they had to go to dig up dirt. Why is Vice News, and this was published July 8th, 2020. Why is Vice News doing a story about posts from fucking 2016 and 2017? Let me tell you something. Anyone that says cancel culture doesn't exist, well, they're lying to you. So anyways, I went over the shocking posts that he made, right? So Civilization Jihad is here. Article wrote by Tommy Lauren. Okay, here it is. She's talking about the radical Islamists and, what's going on and whatnot. And this was back in, 2017. Okay, so she writes this article about radical Islam. And, that's really terrible. Yeah, that's terrible. Can't do that. Anyways, so he posts this back in the day, right? And then he's got this post here from, when was this? I don't know. This was, Sun Media. This was back in, it doesn't have a date on this, but Sun Media hasn't been around in a long time, okay? So it goes to show you they're really stretching. And this was a video from Brian Lilley. And what is he talking about that's so offensive to the Canadian National Council of Muslims? Brian Lilley's talking about the fact that a Pakistani family where the mother, the father, the son all got jail time for basically threatening the daughter to kill her because she was bringing great dishonor on the family, man. You can't have that shit, man. Can't have dishonor brought down on the family. Otherwise, you gotta go. You gotta get killed, right? But what did she do? What was her crime, right? Now, Brian Lilley's talking about. She wanted to date a white devil snow chimp. That's right. And that shit ain't cool, man. That shit ain't cool. Although, of course, Vice News didn't, report on that racism when it happened, of course, I'm sure. But anyways, and this video goes on to talk about a mosque in Vaughan where they had mock beheadings in school plays. Let me just play this.
Young people. And it was found to include sections about the crafty Jews being compared to Nazis and disturbing passages on jihad. This was what they were putting forward to the minds of 13 and 14-year-olds. Well, that same center just 2 years ago was also putting on a school play that involved very young children either participating or watching as they engaged in beheadings.
All right, so that's the video that he posted on social media, and that's terrible. You can't have that because it's clearly Islamophobic to talk about some of the bullshit that's going on in some mosques. Anyways, article goes on to say that he's being investigated by professional standards. Vice called him, didn't comment, he hung up the phone, and then he blocked Stephen Zhu here on Facebook, which, I love how he goes, later he blocked me from seeing his personal Facebook page. What the fuck does that have to do with your article? Absolutely nothing, but, it sounds to me like he's shocked. Like, oh my God, he blocked me. I'm writing a hit piece on this dude, and he blocked me. How dare he? Peel Regional Police, second largest police force in Ontario. Then it goes on about how the police gunned down. I love the phrase gunned down. Like, Buddy was walking down the street and some random cop just came up and was like, well, fuck, man, it's a day that ends in Y, so let me just like blop, blop, blop this dude, right? Yeah, they shot a dude who was going through a mental illness episode. He was schizophrenic, and he was shot. But what Steven Zhu doesn't put in his article, of course, is the fact that Buddy was armed. But, you can't have that because it doesn't fit the narrative, right? And then the article goes on to say that, Canada's faced a reckoning of sorts with Black Lives Matter, right, and police brutality, etc. And calls to defund police departments across the U.S. and Canada have been a central demand of BLM and other activists. Yes, because Black Lives Matter doesn't really give a shit about Black lives, what they are, and they've admitted it, right? This isn't like, conjecture. They're a Marxist movement, right? They want to disband capitalism. They want to replace the system with their own, right? Their own Marxist society, And anyways, so the article says, police officers in both countries have come under fire recently for posts on social media. One Ottawa officer is facing charges sharing a racist meme. So here was the meme that he shared. Ottawa Police Service were always hiring anyone. And because it has a lot of black people in this meme, it's deemed it must be racism, even though they're not all black. But the kicker about this meme, right? Because, they're just making the assumption that it's due to racism, not because of the fact that, 3 of the officers in the meme were charged by the RCMP over a kickback scheme, right? The fact that the deputy was suspended over allegations of sex assault, right? All of these guys are on charge or have fucked up, and that's why they're on this meme. Because the message is not it's racist, it's the fact that if you're a screw-up, we'll still hire you. That's the point of the meme. But of course, this lady who wants an overhaul of police culture, right? She says she's co-chair of the Ottawa Police Community Equity Council. Says, regardless of the person's intent, the impact that it had in the community was racist. Well, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that if that's the impact it had on the community, then maybe it's the community that is looking for the racism here, right? And I love how she says, regardless of the person's intent. And this really goes to show you what, the Steven Zhu guy and the Mustafa Farouk of the Canadian Council of Muslims are going for. They don't care about your intent. You said something they don't like, they're going to make up their mind and they're going to go after you, right? Because you can't share opposing viewpoints or even things that are offensive anymore to some people. What's offensive to you might not be offensive to me, etc., etc. And when the progressives get a hold of this stuff, they're coming for you. They're going to come for you, and they're going to want you charged. They're going to want you fired. They're going to want you homeless, right? Guy in Belleville is facing calls to be fired after posts emerged of him wearing a Confederate flag shirt. Well, who gives a shit? If I want to wear a Confederate flag shirt, and it is shit like this that makes me want to go out and buy one. I swear to God, I have no interest in wearing one, but when I see stuff like this, I want to do it on purpose. It's why I wear a Trump 2020 shirt in Canada, because I know some jerk off is going to get all bent out of shape and pissed off because I'm wearing a Trump shirt, right? So basically, in this Belleville case, this dude, right, a resident of Belleville, there we go. That's terrible. That's just, I guess that's him right there. And in a golf cart with a Confederate flag. And there he is right there. All right. And Todd is wearing a treason shirt. Right? I'm wearing the Real Independence Day flag. The South will rise again. Trump 2020. Now, later on this article, okay, let me backtrack here. So this Belleville resident, Sidney Jarvis, started the petition to get him fired. Can you imagine that? Some guy's wearing a shirt that you don't like, and you're like, that guy's got to be a racist. I got to get him fired. This guy's been a cop 20 years, and you want him in the unemployment line. You want him on the welfare, with the, so he can't pay his mortgage. Like, again, all I'm saying is anybody that says cancel culture doesn't exist is completely full of shit and just a mental midget, right? Because old Sidney Jarvis here, he's got his poo-poo pants, he's got a full diaper, and he wants a guy fired. Now, the cop says the image was meant as a joke. And you know what? I can see it. For the same reason why I wear a Trump shirt, just to fucking get under people's skin, because they get real pissy. I can believe it, and, but even, let's just say, like, maybe the guy is racist. Okay, well, if he's actively discriminating while he's working, then that's a different story. But if he's just doing his job like normal, who gives a shit, right? Like last I checked, it's kind of a free country. We're allowed to, wear what we want, unless it's actually inciting violence, which this guy wasn't, right? But old poopy pants, Sidney here, Sidney Jarvis, he wants, he's a Karen. He demands satisfaction. Anyway, so the article's going on about that. I'm going off topic here, but the article's going on about that, right? This whole social media backlash that's happening. And he goes, Stephen Zhu goes on to say, a look through Vertoli's Facebook and public images reveal that he's been sharing provocative right-wing content. Who gives a fuck? Listen, I'm allowed to share. If you're allowed to openly promote Che Guevara, Joseph Stalin, Lenin, these motherfuckers killed millions of people, and you're going to get pissed off that some guy's wearing a Confederate flag, right? Fuck off. This shit pisses me off. Vertoli is getting he's getting fucked here, right? They're trying to fuck him over for shit that happened years ago, 2016 and 17. But of course now here's where it gets funny, because now we're going to get into a little more current area, and it switches from the Islamic stuff to Black Lives Matter and defund the police. So on June 8th, he shared a video from a popular conservative commentator and comedian, Terrence K. Williams. That's terrible. Titled, Black Lives Matter is based on a lie, which it is, right? Hands up, don't shoot was a lie. Didn't happen. And now this Vice News guy is trying to somehow paint him out to be this, terrible, evil human being because he shared a black man's video. That's right. Terrence Williams is black, right? Doesn't mention it in this article because, it doesn't help with this ultra right-wing racist, Islamophobic, whatever guy. He also went on a long anti-defunding police thread on his Twitter. So what? Come on. Says, warrants for arrest and summons, have court clerks type up and deliver them to subjects themselves. Yeah, man. Do it. Defund the police. Don't have the cops doing that. Be like, oh, look, we got Jim Williams here. I see he's wanted for, armed robbery. Here, Joan, it's your turn to serve the summons. Go over to Jim Williams' house and serve the armed robber this summons to go to court. See how that works out for you. So, yeah, he goes on about, he's anti-defund the police, because that's a big shocker, him being a cop and all. It's such a strange thing to see, police officers being anti-defund police. I don't get it. Or anti-Black Lives Matter, a group that just basically exists because they hate police and they want a Marxist society, right? That's all it is. You don't give a shit when two black kids get shot in the Chaz by supposed anti-fascists, in their own little homemade police force, but whatever. Yeah. So, anyway, he goes on to say that he retweeted a tweet. Now, cancel culture is really getting serious when if you retweet somebody and they're bringing it up in a hit piece, they're really coming for you, right? He retweets a tweet that someone called the RCMP commissioner, Brenda Lucki, a useless hag and a bitch. Oh my God, the horror. This cop, Mike Vertoli, should be fired. He should be bent over. He should take it with a sandpaper condom and absolutely zero spit, right? Because he retweeted a tweet calling someone a bitch and a hag. And by the way, just as an aside, the RCMP commissioner, you know, one day she goes, there's no systemic racism, and the next day she says, oh, I'm sorry, there is. You know, couldn't possibly be because the outrage mob came after her and all the pressure she faced, right? I mean, holy shit. And then a post he allegedly shared days after a gunman killed 6 Muslim worshippers in 2017 at a mosque, which insinuated the victim had strong ties to terrorism. So here we got, and I guess he took it down. Maybe it was one of those, like, too soon, you know? But let's face it, there are people in mosques that have ties to terrorism. This is not new, right? But apparently that makes someone, Islamophobic for sharing someone else's story. It says here, report mosque that was attacked in Canada was funded by Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, so it wasn't even the... Okay, see, this is where this pisses me off. Okay, Stephen Zhu writes, in the January 2017 Quebec City Mosque, it insinuated the victims had strong ties to terrorism. Well, I can't read the article, but... Actually, I probably could if I wanted to find it. But I'm looking at the headline, and it says the mosque. Okay, not the victims, but the mosque. So, I don't know. But I guess, that's enough to get this... you got to get this guy fired, right? Anyways... It goes on to say that he's got posts by Tommy Lawrence and a video from Prager University featuring an anti-Islam activist, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who used to be a Muslim, grew up in a Muslim world, and now calls it out for its bullshit, right? For the female genital mutilation, etc., which she went through. So apparently showing that video, sharing it on your Facebook, makes you an Islamophobe, etc., racist and piece of shit, right? So goes on to say other posts of far-right outlets feature Muslims ostensibly trying to shut down Oktoberfest in Germany or having their citizenship applications denied by Switzerland for not assimilating with Swiss culture. Well, what's wrong with that? A, what's wrong with sharing it, for one thing? I mean, he's just sharing some news, right? And B, what's wrong with denying citizenship from people who, don't share the values, right? Like, if you're like, okay, Ahmed, welcome to Canada. Great. It's going to be a great time having you here. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it. Says here, gays should be put to death and apostates should be put to death. Yeah, I'm not so sure that really corresponds with Canadian society, gonna have to deny that application, But if you do that, you're a phobe, right? And I'm saying anybody that, trying to move to Canada or the United States that carries those views, probably, I don't care where you're from, you could be from fucking Poland for all I care, probably shouldn't be a citizen of Canada. But apparently because Vertoli here shared that, well, he must be punished. He must be reprimanded. We are deeply troubled by the post of the officer, said Mustafa Farouk, Executive Director of the National Council of Canadian Muslims. It is not too much to demand that officers on the streets with guns, badges, do not explicitly hold discriminatory or distasteful attitudes towards any group of people. Yeah. Man, since when is a cop's private life your business? Okay, it's just not. Again, if this guy's working and he's actively discriminated against people, what you're claiming, then yeah, I mean, shit, you do what you got to do. But this guy's just posting stuff on Facebook. It's ridiculous, right? And the problem with these people, right? These people that complain, these Karens, especially with this group here, they don't want their dirty laundry aired. The fact that they're, complaining, they went to Peel Regional Police to complain about this guy because he shared a video talking about a mosque having mock beheadings, right? Or honor killings. It goes to show you that these people just don't want the dirty laundry aired, right? Because it makes them look bad, When you've got people or mosques or institutions tied to terrorism, they don't want you to know that, right? Talking about crafty Jews, they don't want you to know about that. And of course, Stephen Zhu here, the author, he's got to throw in the Black Lives Matter and the defund police issue because, he's got to paint a picture of this guy that this Mike Vertoli guy is this far right, super, super Nazi or something. I don't know, right? And because he has views that don't cater to the progressive left, that he somehow has to be punished because he's a cop. I mean, Vice News and the people at Vice aren't exactly known for their love of police, so it's no surprise that they're going to try and go after a cop who had the balls to post under his real name. Like, I don't understand it, man. Like, I wouldn't do that. And it doesn't even matter if you're a cop or whatever, government worker or whoever. I mean, you're posting shit that, maybe runs contrary to the progressive narrative. You better use a pseudonym, right? Because they're going to come after you, right? Cancel culture, man. Now, Stephen Zhu, being a real professional journalist here, just sticking to the facts, real objective, no bias whatsoever, decides at the end of this to say that in 2019, he made 123K, and in 2018, he made 141K. Because that really has something to do with the story at large, right? So it goes to show you that, I mean, obviously anyone reading this is going to know it's just a fucking hit piece. But, Stephen Zhu, Vice Media, they don't like the police. They're far left. So they gotta fuck with this guy. This guy's just trying to do his thing. He posts a few things on social media you don't like, and what do? You got to go out of your way to fuck with him. You post shit that's completely irrelevant, right? The fact that you post what he made in 2019, 2018, well, who gives a shit? If your article is about this big, racist, Islamophobic cop, why do you include that? Why do you include that he's president of the Milton Santa Claus Parade? Like, who gives a shit? But I'll tell you why. Because you want an outrage mob to go to whoever runs the parade and be like, cancel this guy, get rid of him, right? You got to go back to 2017 and 2016 to find some posts that you deem Islamophobic and be like, aha, we got you, it's absolutely absurd. And you're all fucking garbage. How about that? You're all fucking garbage human beings. And, Farouk, Stephen Zhu, Vice Media, you can all basically kiss my ass. How about that?